Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. Post Monday night. I hope you all won your matchups. If you didn't, you obviously didn't listen to us. Bears, Vikings. Going in, Dalvin Cook was the number one overall running back this week in many people's fantasy stat lines. Not Joe's. He didn't perform well. Credit Chicago defense for. Hakeem Hicks, Roquan Smith did a phenomenal job. He only had, what was his stat line? You know?
Dalvin?
Yeah.
30 carries for 96 yards.
He did have a bunch of catches, though.
He had 4 targets, 4 receptions for another 16 yards.
Not really a bunch there. I played against him and Al Robinson. Going in, I was scared I was going to lose. I was down 39 points. He had them both up 39 points thanks to the Hail Mary play. I had Murray and Hopkins, so I won off of that. But Justin Jefferson looked phenomenal here. 8 receptions, 135 yards. Adam Thielen only had 4 for 43 and 2 touchdowns, though. He did miss 3 passes. A couple of those were not his fault. One of them was in the end zone and got hit out by Kyle Fuller.
What's notable is that 3 out of his 7 targets were red zone targets, and Justin Jefferson got 0 of those targets. So to compare these 2 receivers, I think the only 2 comparable receivers are Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Mike Evans being compared to Adam Thielen because of all the red zone opportunities he gets and a little bit of usage up the field. And Jefferson just gets all the way up the field until the red zone pretty much.
Now, a lot of people are a little low on Thielen and Jefferson going forward. After this game, I like where they're at. Dalvin has a tough schedule going up against Tampa, New Orleans, Chicago, again in the fantasy playoffs, and I think Thielen and Jefferson will benefit from this a lot because their ground game will be stagnant.
Next week's matchup against the Cowboys looks like a feast for everyone in the Vikings. But if Dalvin goes off, then I don't see the Vikings receivers doing too well.
Yeah,
they don't need him.
I see mostly Dalvin.
I see a Dalvin, another 40-plus point game next week. In terms of running backs for the Bears, Montgomery was out, but even when he was in, I wasn't high on him. Cordero took over.
He did decently.
He did pretty well
because of the return.
The return touchdown.
Nothing else really special.
He was decent. If Montgomery happens to be out next week, he's only out for a concussion, but if he's out next week, maybe stream Cordero if you're desperate.
If you had Ryan Null on your sleeper list, that might have been an issue.
Listen, you gotta it's a sleeper for a reason.
It's true.
So speaking of waivers, let's get into that. Joe, what are your top 5 waivers going into week 11?
So not in a specific order, depending on your needs. I think Nyheim Hines has the ability to take over the Colts backfield especially when they need a spark, and they're going to need to win games in order to win the division. So I think they're going to use Hines, and he has a solid floor because of their passing game.
And he had 12 rushes for 70 yards, 1 touchdown on the ground, and 5 receptions, 45 yards, and another touchdown through the air. So he looked very good here.
And Phil Rivers likes to check it down to him a lot. Second up, we got Jameis Winston coming in. He was the number 1 fantasy quarterback last year, and he's coming in on a Saints offense, which doesn't look amazing because Michael Thomas hasn't found his own this season yet. But once he gets back into that role, I think Winston could be a top quarterback.
And also Kamara, just check it down to him.
Boom.
He'll do all the work for you.
Exactly. Next, own him 50% of leagues. Wayne Gallman. Max told you to start him last week as a sleeper. He did great. And with Devontae Freeman on IR for a couple more weeks at least, Gallman might be a starter for a team in need of a running back.
A couple more weeks for sure.
Yeah, Kalen Ballage. He played great for the Chargers. He's looking like the 3-down option with Eckler out. So until he returns, he might be a decent option.
18 for 68 on the ground, 5 receptions as well for 34 yards. Primary back right there.
Solid floor. And then a bit of a push. If you need a receiver, Michael Pittman, he definitely looks like the number 1 receiver in Indy with T.Y. slowing down a little bit. And Phillip Rivers looked like he liked him this game. He had 121 yards on 7 receptions, and he had a carry.
And 10 targets as well.
Yeah.
I like all those options. Additionally, I have Rex Burkhead. He had his back-to-back games. He's 24% owned. If you need an RB, you could pick him up, stream him next week. He had 6 rushing attempts for 31 yards and 4 receptions for 35 and 2 receiving touchdowns. Great game for him. Cole Beasley
Monster.
He's 50% owned, so over half the leagues you could get him. He had 13 targets, caught 11 of them for 109 and a touchdown. Something to note here is that John Brown suffered an injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but Cole Beasley should benefit a ton from that. He should be the wide receiver 2 for going forward.
And also, it's not a fluke week. He's had unreal weeks the entire season. He's had 12, 17, 12, 11, 15, 23, and a couple down weeks, but then another 29 this week.
Yeah,
in PPR.
so Josh Allen likes him a lot.
Especially with John Brown out, now he's going to be a gorgeous start.
And he's got incredible hands.
Exactly. And Josh Reynolds, another sleeper I had this week. He's only 5% owned, and he had 8 on 10 targets, 94 yards, and he also has been, flying under the radar as well. He seems to, when defenses focus on Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, Josh Reynolds seems to benefit a lot from that. So he if you're desperate for a receiver, go for him as well. And now Zach, who do you got?
Another one is Ahmed. I forgot his first name. Salvon Ahmed. He's had a great game today. Not today, yesterday.
Ahmed.
And he's for anyone desperate at running back, he's a great option just because he's the starting running back. And
what's his name?
Gaskin. Something Ahmed. I don't even know his first name even after you said it.
Salvon Ahmed.
Salvon Ahmed. Even after he had a great game, and now that Myles Gaskin isn't going to be back for a few more weeks, if you're desperate, you should definitely pick him up. As well as Kelan Cole, he has a very easy season.
Not Chris Conley.
He has a very easy rest of the season. Definitely a nice pickup. He had 7 targets, and he's playing Miami, Tennessee. I don't know who else, but he has very good playoff matchups. And Jamaal Williams, for anyone that's really desperate, he's getting 8 to 10 points a week. And if you need someone to give you a decent stat line, then he's a good pickup.
Especially for the Aaron Jones